Right then, just before United run out today, we are playing Bilbao tomorrow, and we expect it's probably going to be a strong 11 from United this afternoon, which means tomorrow afternoon we expect it to be the rotated 11. And obviously, I'm not sure who's involved today, so I'm taking a big old guess at what we're going to feature tomorrow against Bilbao. And there's a good chance as you're watching this, unless you watched it immediately, you probably already know what happened in the game against Lens at Old Trafford. So United and Bilbao both had a bit of a mixed bag of results in each of our last 6 games. Prior to the Lens game, and including our Academy day out against Wrexham, we have lost 3 and won 3. Doesn't get much more mixed bag than that. Bilbao have lost 4, won 1 and drawn 1. And famously, Bilbao, as you know, they only field Basque country players. Absolutely phenomenal output and brilliant club ethos. I had a great time when I visited there a few years ago and got a chance to speak to their sporting director. And if you're sitting there thinking, fucking hell, what, really? Yeah, go and check out Bilbao Especial and also Jose Santamaria interview that I did while I was there as well. And they continue to fill the club with players of Basque descent, which is an incredible thing that they've been able to compete at the highest level and in European football and Champions League with such a restrictive covenant on the club. It's very, very admirable, I believe. Not everyone is able to compete at the top level, but you've got to stand for and believe in something, and that is what they do. How do they play? Well, offensively, there is a lot of admiration from me about how Bilbao set up, because they're very well drilled. They're coached by Valverde, and they adhere to a style of play which I would probably call controlled directness. They play quite differently depending on who they're playing in terms of opposition. Against tougher sides, they are very direct. They'll go ultra direct, and they're going to look to take advantage of crosses, long balls, percentage balls, that sort of thing. In possession, they like to build up with a bit of a 2-3-2-3, which can look like a 4-3-3, depending on whereabouts the ball is. Fullbacks are encouraged to get forward. They usually do it through late runs rather than being big overlappers. Wingers have a bit of a tendency to stay high and wide, looking to try and drag the opposition backline as much as possible across the pitch. Against lesser opposition, Valverde totally flips up his ideas and looks to maintain possession, hold the ball, try and hold it at a real high rate of retention, look for counter-pressing and transitioning very, very astutely. Quite a modern top-flight teams. The sort of model that you see in like the likes of Bayern, the likes of City a little bit, that sort of style. But it tends to do that against opposition that they can physically and technically bully, rather than the games where they're going to be a bit better matched. So against United, I would expect they're going to be a little bit more direct in how they come out against us. The statistics, when you look at them as a whole, because of this, are just completely all over the show. So you have to drill it down into the game by game, against the big games and against the smaller teams. But you'll see that there's a big blend of high possession football, and it's mixed with very, very direct passing. And that obviously alludes to the change in offensive tactics depending on the opposition. The crossing is aided and assisted really by the freedom that the forwards are given. Everything goes through Inaki Williams. He is their best player by far. He's always looking to cause trouble, drifts wide, asks questions of any defence, and he's a bloody good player as well. Without the ball, Athletic settle into a good old 4-4-2 low block, genuine low block, and they look to isolate players in possession, deny space, and have a very, very rigid, compact unit, stopping the ball being passed through their defensive lines at all costs. They let people go around the outside if they can do that. 4-4-2 is renowned for being one of the most secure and stable formations. And that's why you see so many teams adopting the 4-4-2 out of possession, because you know where everyone's meant to be, and it's very obvious if someone is in the wrong position. And that's exactly why Valverde goes with it. They go on a man-to-man defensive basis, and they keep the opposition at arm's length. Extremely compact, extremely solid, and very, very well drilled. And it's worth noting that they target the wide areas with a bit of a pragmatic counter-press as well. So they'll be very, very rigid. They'll show you wide, but as you arrive wide, they'll look to try and mallet you in that corner and keep you there. And they win the ball back on a lot of occasions as it goes to the wide man, because you think it's the most obvious pass, and it is the most obvious pass, but because it's an obvious pass, it's also an obvious pressing trigger, and that's where they're going to go and close you down. Starting 11 should look something like this, with quite a lot of familiar names in the mix as well, particularly one in midfield you might know. And Star man, as I said, is Inaki Williams. Very, very tricky forward, very high level player. Is in the top 5 in the league for shots on target. He gets away from people. He gets shots off. He creates for himself. He creates for others. And he excels in Valverde's system. He's a forward that thrives off doing the dirty work. He gets stuck in and he takes the chances that he has really, really well as well. With the football season just around the corner, Paramatch UK are offering new customers the opportunity to get £40 in free bets with your first £10 bet. Claim this offer simply to create a Paramatch account and opt in to the promotion. Place a £10 bet on any football market of odds of even or above within 7 days of opening your account. Full terms and conditions do apply, and all the links will be in the description below. Thanks to Paramatch for sponsoring this video. For United, the 11 that I went with was definitely rotated, and I went with Heaton, Dalot, Maguire, Lindelof, and Alvaro Fernandez, who I think could be really good in this game. He's going to have a tough game, but I think he'll be really good in this game. I wouldn't actually be surprised to see Johnny Evans feature instead of Maguire, particularly if Maguire is closing in on that transfer with Everton, seemingly taking the driver's seat at the moment. McTominay, Eriksen, and Hannibal, with Ahmad, Højlund, hopefully we get a run out with him, and Sancho. And the star man for United, I actually think it's going to be Hannibal. In a match where you see a team line up in a 4-4-2, you're going to need creativity. And that free roaming role that Hannibal sort of gets, and the undoubted quality that he delivers when he's on the ball, when you're in a side that's going to be man-to-man, like Bilbao, separating players and dragging them out of position to be able to feed a high quality ball in behind or round the corner or separating two players is what makes the difference. And out of the players involved in that, Ahmad might be able to do as well, but Højlund should be the one that is able to deliver that one. And Sancho, if I didn't mention him, on the left side as well. I think that's what it's going to be. It might be a touch stronger than that. It might be a bit more blended this afternoon against Lens, and it might be a little bit more blended against Bilbao in Dublin tomorrow, but we will see. How do we beat them? You've got to be solid in midfield, and I think even though it's not our first choice pairing, I think Eriksen and McTominay will do really well there, as is the case with the majority of Spanish sides. They're technical, and they're really good at picking out passes and holding on to the ball. And like I said, they blend holding possession with being direct, so you got to watch for that. And if they attempt to bypass midfield, winning the ball back quickly can prevent that long ball being very, very crucial, because they are very good at that. Secondly, control of chaos and the fluidity, because they do thrive in that as well. They're good on the transition, but United can be better with our first 11. Can our second string be quite as good on the transition? It's the case for a lot of sides that deploy a defensive block, try and cause confusion, try and test how well drilled they are. Can you open up opportunities for a key pass and driving the ball forward? Players like Ahmad, Hannibal, and of course, if we get to see him, Højlund will be absolutely vital at opening up that very, very rigid defence. And the players that are able to roam free, and I think you've got 3 unbelievable ball players who will all be tasked with, can we get Højlund off and get his confidence up? You know, Sancho, Ahmad, Hannibal, all of them can do that. Thrive in the chaos, thrive in the transition, and see what you can do. And then fullbacks locked in. You've got 2 good fullbacks in this game, Alvaro Fernandez and Diogo Dalot. They're going to need to focus and prepare for a really busy game. The confusion, the transition, this game will be all about it, and the fullbacks will be the ones that are involved in that the most. When the fullbacks step into midfield, let's create some questions for the Bilbao midfield. In that 4-4-2, am I picking up this man? If they go inside, can we create some confusion about who's meant to be marking? Especially Dalot, I think he's been excellent at doing that. But Alvaro's had some really good games as well. Bilbao's tendency to go wide and use that as pressing traps can mean that the fullbacks and the wingers are vulnerable, but we've got ball players on both sides, so I don't think it should be an issue for us. Keep hold of the possession, don't waste it, and be composed, and I think we've got a composed team. It's obviously not the highest quality we can put out, and obviously I think Maguire could be a big weakness in this if they're going long and we're playing up high. But everybody else, I think, is nice and solid. So that's what I think it's probably going to be at the Aviva Stadium. And if you're down there, I will see you. And it should be a good one. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.